You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah!
All right, good morning, everybody. This is James Morris. This is our special edition. This is where we don't play this on TV. We play this strictly on YouTube because I don't want to be in jeopardy with the FEC rules, Federal Election Committee, because if you talk about your campaign or you talk about anyone else's campaign on television, you got to offer equal time to the opposing candidates. And to avoid that, where the stations don't get in a jam, we just make this available on YouTube and on our Facebook wall, like Rob for Congress or James for County Commissioner, Bay County Commissioner, and that's what I'm running for. I'm running for Bay County Commissioner, but that's neither here nor there. Right now, I got Rob Lapham. He's robforcongress.org. He's running for Congressional District 2 against, well, we don't know who it's going to be. Right now, it's against the Republicans and Democrats. Rob, so tell me a little bit about what's happening in the election process.
Well, a lot of things happened this week so far. I will just make one mention of the FEC may have some rules which preclude your regular program being broadcast on Fox 28 in Panama City.
Correct.
But for sure, the FCC, that is the Federal Communications Commission, are the folks that say, for sure, if you reference one candidate, you have to reference all, and that's kind of difficult. So I usually say FCC rather than FCC.
You're early in the morning. Sometimes I get my acronyms and my alphabet soup all mixed up. FEC, FCC.
I'm already on my second cup of coffee, so I'm in good shape.
Well, I tell you what, you had a very good article in today's News Herald. I didn't know if you knew that or not. Behind Curtain Number 3 is what it's titled in the News Herald.
Is that the one that starts off with your head's in the sand? Or
yes, that's the one. That's the one with your head's in the sand.
Okay, great. I'm going to put it. That's the Panama City News Herald.
Right.
Right.
And if you don't mind, I'd like to read it. It's called Curtain Number 3. In case you had your head in the sand.
Please go ahead. I can't see it, and I did not know it was out yet. I thought they probably wouldn't get it going until Sunday, but please go ahead.
No, this is what I want to read. In case you've had your head in the sand, election season is upon us. We, the people of the United States, have put forth two candidates who are more likely to make us sick at our stomachs than proud to be American. Many feel like the candidates are our only two options, but I'm here to tell you adamantly they are not. There's another option for the American people. Libertarians Gary Johnson and Bill Weld combine what is perhaps the best conservatives and liberals into one. They are physical conservatives who have always been in the forefront of social, open-minded matters. They have been physically conservative governors in liberal states, Johnson in New Mexico, Weld in Massachusetts. It has proven to balance budgets and improve the economy in their respective states. This year, the Johnson-Weld team will be available on the ballot in all 50 states. Currently, Johnson is polling anywhere from 10 to 14%. If he is averaging 15% around September, he will be eligible to participate on stage with the other two candidates in the presidential debates. If this happens, it will allow the people to see that there is a viable third option candidate that represents the view of the American people rather than the specific views of their respective political party. I urge you to consider Johnson-Weld ticket this election season. Try it for 4 years. If you don't like it, you can always go back to corruption of the two-party system we currently have. I thought that was a very well-written letter that is right to the point. It really.
Well, thank you. I stole much of the text from somebody in Jacksonville, but and it's part of a nefarious plot that we libertarians have. Virtually every major newspaper in Florida got a letter. They were different letters because different newspapers have different word count maximums that they will allow. And most of the letters are going to hit on the Sunday editions where the newspapers typically have a larger circulation.
Right.
But the Pensacola newspaper, as well as Panama City, Tallahassee, you name it, any town of any size that has a newspaper with some circulation received a letter from somebody. I'm just part of a volunteer group. And so that's what we have in the local market. The general idea is to raise Governor Johnson's and Governor Weld's visibility even more than it already is. So we were happy to participate in that effort.
Oh, well, it's going to be an interesting season because I'm having people come to me who have been Republicans their entire life, and they're just like, I don't know what to do. And I have people that are Democrats. They say, I don't know what to do. And I say, you really have a third option. And then when I mention it, there's also their eyes light up a little bit. Really? He's on the ballot in all 50 states? I said, please allow, if they call you to ask who you're waiting for, who you're going to vote for president, say, none of the above till I hear from the third party, which would be the Libertarian Party. And we're hoping to get that 15%. Is it 15% by August 15th. Is that what we're shooting for?
I don't know what the date is, and what I had read months ago was that it was the average of the last 5 polls, but they didn't define
The polls.
how you recognize them. I mean, some polls are, and it ought to be polls that obviously offer Johnson as an option. If it's a poll just between 2 old party candidates, it doesn't fit the bill. I do not know the details, and I'm quite sure the Johnson campaign is on top of it. And you may recall 3 or 4 days ago, the folks that are setting up the first debate, which I think is in Hempstead, New York, but regardless of that, I believe it's September the 26th, and I believe that they were instructed to prepare for 3 podiums instead of 2. This is by the so-called Independent Presidential Debate Commission, which is a racket in itself. I don't get into that.
I was going to talk about it. It's independent. It's got Republicans. It's half Republicans, half Democrats. There's no independents on there.
Right. No, it's a setup. But I think it's public pressure. Now, they haven't actually put the podiums up yet, but they have been instructed. These things have to be worked out weeks in advance, and sometimes stage things built and so forth. Anyway. So they're preparing for that third one if the Presidential Debate Commission decides to add the third candidate, namely Governor Johnson.
Well,
there has also, of course, been a lot of activity recently for the Green Party candidate, Jill Stein, but she will be on the ballot in at most 26 states, and so it can't be a national campaign. May improve the visibility of the Green Party. But only Governor Johnson has a chance to be on all 50 states. I think they're up to 46 states now and closing in on the petition requirements for the last few of them.
Well, I'm just thankful there's not 57 states he's got to get qualified in.
Well, there are. If you ask President Obama, he'll tell you that there are. Actually, I think he said it was 56, but we won't quibble over it.
Hey, we're not going to quibble over 6, 7, 8 states. It doesn't really matter. But it has been an interesting 8 years, to say the least. I remembered when when Clinton got in office, everybody thought it was the end of the world. I said, look, we muddled through this. We'll be able to muddle through anything else. Even through the Obama administration, when you get down to it, the president, what he does is mainly as a cheerleader, and unfortunately, it seems like lately this cheerleader's had a lot of power with his cell phone and pen. That seems to be something that goes back all the way to the Republican administrations. They were powerful, they just didn't have cell phones, but they had that pen of the executive order. When did executive orders start becoming a common thing? I mean, I know they've been around since JFK, even before, but when did it take on a whole life of its own, where you could just, with a flip of a pen, override Congress? I
think it's a gradual thing. I don't know when it started. I think every administration seems to advance a little bit on the prior administration, and in this administration, President Obama has gone way over the top and is attempting to affect policy and federal government activity in areas that are clearly the purview of Congress to create and pass legislation.
That's what I was thinking.
So he's unique, President Obama, in that regard. He's also unique in damn nearly doubling the deficit, the national debt.
Well,
he is, and I'm not meaning to excuse any prior president, because all of them for the last 88 years have spent more than they took in.
Well, that's where I was going to say. Yeah, I mean, Bush is just as guilty. I mean, on his last year in term, he did the 700 million TARP bailout, toxic acid recovery program. And I don't know why they call it a recovery program, because nothing really recovered. It just seemed to bail out the too big to fail. And if I'm not mistaken, we're almost at that same precipice again, financially, where these banks and these lending institutions are right about ready to go under again. Maybe I'm being too melodramatic, but when if you kind of look behind the curtain, what's going on, things don't look real promising for us out there.
It's a serious situation, James. We have got to stop at a minimum spending more than we take in. As we've said before, that $19 trillion is $59,000 a person. If we put that number on every one of our Visa cards or MasterCards, and we saw a line item there and had to pay the minimum monthly payment on that, $1,200 or $1,300, it is a crazy amount of money. And if leaving aside how we're going to pay it back, what we have to do as a first step is stop spending more than we're bringing in.
Well, and
neither the Republicans or the Democrats are doing anything about that. They don't. The 3 Republican candidates, well, actually all 5 candidates for Congress, not one of them is making our spending an issue. the Republican candidate from Panama City, he has a wishy-washy statement on we have to get a balanced budget amendment. And I'm sure he knows full well the first balanced budget amendment that was introduced into the House of Representatives was in 1936.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to
By a
say.
congressman from Minnesota. It's gone nowhere, and how he thinks. They put these things in so it looks like they're going to do something about it or really stand up for it. But I guarantee you, any Republican or Democrat being sent to Washington is not going to lift a finger to be proactive in terms of getting spending under control. They just have too much, made too many promises to too many people, and with the trade-off horse trading going on, they will not take action. I don't think anybody besides the Libertarian Party will make as a major focus the reduction in spending.
Yeah, I think you got a good point. You got a very good point, and that's why we need to have libertarian-minded people in Congress, and that's one of the reasons we'd like to see you go up there, because it seems like no matter who's in office, the growth of government keeps getting bigger. I remember in 1971 we went off we've been off the gold standard since '33, but when we went off the British sterling and the dollar became the world reserve currency, or should I say the petrodollar came into being in 1971, things have changed dramatically, and it's just a matter of time before we may not be the world reserve currency, and we may be buying oil. We may have to take our dollars and buy another type of currency to convert it into buy oil or to buy gold. There's a good, strong possibility that may be the tipping point this election, if whoever we get in as a presidency. Some people are saying if Trump gets in there, oh my Lord, that's going to be the end of the world. They're making a perfect excuse to collapse the dollar. I don't know if you've heard that or not, but who knows what they're going to do.
James, if we can move off issues for a moment and get to politics, I was really disappointed. I was over in the Live Oak area yesterday and learned that day before yesterday, WFSU, the TV station in Tallahassee, had a TV event, and the 3 Republican and 2 Democrat candidates were invited, and I never heard about it. This is not the first time that events happen, and the libertarians are not even being acknowledged. Now, when I call to raise these issues with the people, the usual answer is, well, you're not in the primary, General, and we'll get to you after August the 30th. I'm frankly thankful that we're in just a bit over 2 weeks to August the 30th, because the more opportunities we have to contrast our approaches to these challenges, and in that case, it'll be just 1 Republican and 1 Democrat. I'm really looking forward to that.
Well,
because too often we're not being heard,
and I have to
work harder to see that happens.
Well, speaking
of that,
the other
thing I have to do while I'm confessing, I'll fall on my sword here. I have to do a lot better in getting answers within a 2-minute limit or whatever the limit is, especially on broadcast.
Right.
I was just warming up on Veterans Affairs as one issue Tuesday night when WECP-TV had the town hall, and just getting up to the issue is Veterans Affairs, and the fact is that in the last 2 years, there's been a pilot program going on. If you are a veteran living more than 40 miles from the nearest VA hospital, you may, instead of using the VA, use private hospitals, private doctors, and so forth. And it's a really great experiment, because the way you shut down the VA, which I advocate happen, or nearly happen, is you simply take that 40 miles from distance, and next year you make it 30 miles, and over some reasonable period it becomes 20 miles, 10 miles, 1 mile, and then you allow the veterans to choose. The VA hospitals are not all as screwed up as you hear on some of the more sensational reports on TV.
Right.
And I don't know what the right mix is, but basically you end up giving all veterans a choice. If you want to use the VA hospital, you do. And if you want to use private, you do through like an EBT card. I mean, they would have a health savings account.
Right.
Anyway,
that would be a great idea.
What I wanted to say is I have to, unlike this program where there's an opportunity to go on forever, thank you very much. I've got to do a much better job at succinct answers, especially in the broadcast media arena.
So I understand correctly, what you do is you have veterans that need to use the VA hospital. The VA hospital is 40, 50, 60 miles away, too far away. So here's you a card. We're sending it to you. We are putting $50 a month, $300 a month, whatever we're putting on this card. It's kind of like a health savings account. And you can use what's on this card to take care of your problems. And if you exceed that, need to go through approval or whatever, kind of like a debit card, I guess they'd be putting, or a health savings account card. And I think that'd be a great way to have savings, because if people say, well, we're going to put this much money into your account every month, and then at the end of the year you get to keep that and roll that over, kind of like a health savings account used to be, which we don't have anymore. I found out that people are more conscientious with their money if they're, that's the way to save money. But if you're
that's one part of it. But again, reducing the distance from the VA hospital to the base being served is kind of key, because as you come closer to the VA hospital and veterans are making their own choices, a lot of them are not going to choose the VA hospital, and then the job is to reduce the staff commensurate with the number of patients. And basically, you're letting the veterans market decide where they feel their best health care is. And it's a much better approach than what we have been doing for decades now, which is continuing to throw more money at the Veterans Administration, who today get about $80 billion a year. And these stories of not only of mismanagement and firings that you hear about, and then the next week you hear, their file of whoever's been fired is being reinstated because labor agreements preclude them being fired or something like that. It is just a bureaucratic mess, in my opinion.
And you're absolutely right. This is a way to put the free market back in it. And in everything, the free market works much better. You cannot build it and they will come. And that's kind of been the philosophy of Keynesian economics for the last, since 1913. Build this, we're going to, government will produce this, make the jobs happen, but what it ends up happening, it costs more for taxpayers. You get poor quality service. And if the free market's able to work and people were able to be a part of this, I think it would be a way to solve a lot of these problems we have. But people have got to be involved in it. They've got to be involved in government at the local level, at the state level, and at the federal level. And I think that's one of the reasons we have the government we have now. People are just not involved till it's election time.
That's for sure. I agree.
Okay. Rob, we're up against the clock here. We've been on, believe it or not, almost 17 minutes. And I want to thank you for being on with us today. We're going to put this on YouTube. Share this around. We had a very good time at the Women's Club the other night. Even though it was raining, it sure was a lot cooler than it was at the Possum Festival on Sunday. Woo! That was one
James,
hot day.
I also want to thank you and the Bay County Libertarian Party for the Gary Johnson yard signs you did. I was able to, Anna Marie was kind enough to give me 20 of those, and I don't have them from any other source, so I don't want to put out just Rob for Congress yard signs. I'm glad to have the Gary Johnson ones as well, and thank you and congratulations to the Bay County Libertarian Party.
This is grassroots liberty organization at its grassroots right here. This is at the very bottom of it right here, but we're working on growing the Libertarian Party of Bay County. And if you want more information about the Libertarian Party of Bay County or Gulf County or any of Northwest Florida, just contact my phone screener, Anna Marie. She is the District 2 representative that will get you started in getting an affiliate going. And if you want to run for office, we can start putting those wheels in motion for the next election cycle, because it's a little too late if you want to run this time, because everything's already been filled up and qualifications are already over with. But Rob, thank you so much for being on. We will be back next Friday with the same time. And if anything comes up during the week, we can always do a special edition. So if something comes up, if you want to talk about something, give me a call. We'll make a point to be able to talk about it. Okay, Rob?
Thanks, James. I appreciate it.
All right, sounds good. Y'all be good. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Bye-bye, everybody.
James Auto Center, we fix it right.